Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Today is a day for the Islamic law class, fiqh, in the chapter of funerals. Before I start what we need to read today, the concept of fisq or fusuq yesterday that we discussed, did it seem to be clear? Because you still had questions about it, Muhammad, right? Was it clear to you or not? Let me just quickly summarize. So, not every sin would be considered as fusuq, and not every sinner would be considered as fasiq. It's important to make that distinction, because it is mentioned in the Quran that, for instance, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْفَاسِقِينَ, that those who have this description of fusuq, Allah will not guide them. وَلَا تَقْبَلُوا لَهُمْ شَهَادَةً أَبَدًا وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. A person who is fasiq, we do not accept their testimony, for instance. It's a degenerate, corrupt person. That's basically meaning of fasiq. As for sinning, anybody is liable to fall into sin, but it's not usually, for a regular believer, this is not a habit. It's not an attitude and way of life. It's a mistake that he tries to correct. That is a normal and healthy attitude towards sins. But when it becomes part of daily life, then that person is no longer a regular sinner. He has deviated, because the meaning of fusuq is to come out from the way of Allah, to deviate out of the way of Allah. Just like they said, فَسَقَتِ الرُّطَبَةِ, that when the date goes out from its skin, that is, they called about this date that it is fasaqat. It came out from the natural place that it should have been in. Same way. And the ayah of وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكُفْرَ وَالْفُسُوقَ وَالْعَصْيَانَ indicates this, that Allah put 3 grades. Kufr is the worst, total rejection, shirk, polytheism, disbelief, that's kufr. Fusuq in the middle, and then asyan. Asyan means sinning. So fusuq obviously is something in between the two, in between just falling into sins, and in between total kufr. So the fasiq is usually, if he's originally a believer, he is not a kafir. He is not somebody who has left religion totally by disbelieving in it. He believes in the religion, but he's not really practicing it. That is the meaning of fasiq. Also Allah says, فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Again, Allah Azza wa Jal put it midway between a rafath, meaning rafath, to have a sexual relationship during Hajj. And that's a major sin. Actually, it will basically nullify the whole Hajj. Even, it's talking about the wife, it's not talking about having, this is talking about having sex with the wife during Hajj. It's a major sin that nullifies the Hajj. This is the rafath. Jidal means to argue with somebody. You're not going over there for Hajj a few days to start an argument. Allah save us.
So how we define the munafiq?
The munafiq? I will come to the munafiq. So rafath is a huge sin, and jidal is to argue with somebody. And Allah put fusuq somewhere in between, correct? But as well, fusuq is used to label the kuffar as well. إن المنافقين هم الفاسقون ولقد أنزلنا إليك آيات بينات وما يكفر بها إلا الفاسقون. Kufr and nifaq, hypocrisy, Allah also called fusuq. But this is going out of the way of Allah, going out of the religion of Allah totally. Okay? But if it applies to a Muslim, then it doesn't mean that he's left the religion. He's just left the practice of the religion. If it's used to describe a kafir or munafiq, yes, it applies to them, because if it can apply to a Muslim who's not practicing, then for greater reason it can apply to a kafir and a munafiq, correct? A hypocrite is basically different from the fasiq, because a hypocrite is somebody who is not even a Muslim. The major hypocrite, the real hypocrisy, that Allah said, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ, who are the lowest level of the fire of hell are those people who do not believe in Islam but pretend to be Muslims. They live amongst Muslims and pretend to be Muslims for certain reasons, and that usually happens at times when Muslims are strong and prevalent, usually. So they say that in Mecca there was no munafiqeen. It's not an environment that would breed munafiqeen. Why is that? Because Muslims were persecuted in Mecca, tortured, kicked out of their houses, kicked out of their jobs, and killed. So nobody's going to pretend to be a Muslim. Actually, somebody may pretend the opposite to get out of persecution, right? So there was no nifaq in Mecca. Munafiqeen started appearing when Muslims became strong and started, prevailing over Arabia. That is when people, and that's actually when many nations and tribes entered Islam, but they just did this for political reasons or just to be with the stronger. Usually somebody who's strong, people are with them, as you can see in this world today, regardless of they believe that what this person is promoting or not. So that, but then whenever they find a chance, they try to, especially if they have a grudge against Islam and Muslims, they try to attack Islam from the inside. This is the major munafiq. But nifaq can also be used to describe a believer. If his actions are different from his words, he keeps making big claims that I do this and I do that, and he's actually not doing these things. That is nifaq. And Messenger ﷺ gave multiple features of such a person who can be described as a munafiq while he is a believer. إذا حدث كذب, whenever he talks he lies. وإذا اؤتمن خان, whenever he's entrusted he betrays. You cannot rely on such a person. وإذا عاهد غدر, whenever he makes an agreement he breaks that agreement. وإذا خاصم فجر, whenever he has some kind of argument with you, he exceeds the limits in attacking you, and so many descriptions. إذا حدث كذب. There's another one actually, but I can't remember it. But anyhow, basically, the hallmark is that the actions are different because from the sayings, and they used to call some kind of animal. I'm not sure if it was a rat or something like this, that would have multiple. He would have a tunnel, but have multiple exits from that tunnel. So one time he comes from this exit, and one time they used to call it a nafiqa. That animal is called a nafiqa. I'm not sure what they would call him. Gopher, like for instance, they have here in this country, have gophers, for instance, right? The gophers, they make those tunnels and they come up from those. They might have multiple tunnels under the ground and they come up from different. So they talawun, they change faces, so that's the munafiq, of course. But so that's it. This is a major sin, but not kufr. This is a major sin, but not kufr. But the other one, who's not a believer, he's totally in the worst kind of kuffar. Go ahead.
So being a fasiq or munafiq can be considered as sickness.
Like a sickness of the heart?
Sickness. He can be witnesses in Islamic law.
Who can be a witness? No, should not be a witness.
So how in modern age we can to judge a person that is a munafiq or fasiq? From
the actions. That's why Messenger ﷺ gave us all these descriptions of the munafiqeen and fasiqeen. Non-practicing Muslims should not be. We cannot trust. إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا. He comes with certain news or certain information. A fasiq, just don't take it easily. You have to confirm that. اقرأوا. He says إذا حدث كذب وإذا وعد أخلف وإذا اؤتمن خان. We mentioned them. فعاد فغر اؤتمن خان حدث كذب. نعم خاصم فجر. We said them all. Thank you. Yes, those features of the munafiq. If somebody has them, then he's a munafiq, and basically he would not be a good practicing Muslim, and that is why the testimony should not be accepted now. Inshallah, we'll leave this class till some other time.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.